Namaste. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the HAA Convention Youth Debate Contest. I'm Usha Kulur. I've been HAA volunteer since 2005, HAA Executive Committee member and a lead advisor of HAA Youth Forum. This is our first debate that we are organizing at HAA level. Should standardized tests be abolished? Hard to answer, but I'm really excited to present our very talented 16 youth participants in front of you today who have been working hard, doing extensive research on this, and they're all ready to argue on this topic. We have senior member Dr. Beam Bhatt, senior HA member Dr. Beam Bhatt, college student Mr. Pujit Hegde, college graduate Mr. Anup Bhatt, and young working professionals, Ms. Aditi Dinkar, Ms. Aditi Srinivasan as our judges today. We have young working professional, Mr. Sriram Sankaran as our moderator, who is well-versed in running debate and other contests to all age groups. We have HAA President, Sri Gopal Bhatt, who will brief about an upcoming grand event, which is HAA Convention in July. And Shreya Hegde, who will talk about an interesting topic about volunteering. We have Srinivas Hasmane, our audio video technology expert, who will be managing the live streaming and techniques of that. We have our wonderful audience from all over US, Canada, and wonderful parents and siblings and spouses, HAA Convention Youth Committee, everyone involved in bringing this debate contest in front of you today. It is with great pleasure that I welcome each and every one of you warmly to an enjoyable and different experience. We have two very talented and beautiful youth members, Deepa Bhatt and Ashika Bhatt as our MCs. Deepa is a high school junior, Ashika is a high school Deepa is high school senior and Ashika is high school junior, who are going to be our MCs today. Welcome Deepa, welcome Ashika. I would like to hand it over to you now. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone. So, I'm Deepa. I'm from San Ramon. I go to Doherty Valley High School and I'm a senior. So first I'll introduce Dr. Bhim Bhatt. And so Dr. Bhim Bhatt is originally from Alike village near Vittalaputtur towns in the during 1980, he came to USA for postdoctoral research at Washington University Med School, St. Louis. In 1987, he relocated to a Philadelphia suburb to join as a molecular virology scientist in the R&D division of a biopharmaceutical company. After retiring from that role, he has been serving the community with diverse roles, such as a science fair judge, yoga instructor, and real estate professional. During 2002 to 2003, he got the wonderful opportunity to serve as the Havyaka community as the president of HAA, and he was able to appreciate more of the diverse talents and expertise present within the community members. All these years, he has been a supporter of several cultural organizations such as Chinmaya Mission, Seva International, Aim for Seva, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangha, Shruti Classical Music and Dance Society of Philadelphia, Navodaya Kannada Kuta, and etc. He has been specially interested in helping the community youth to identify their great potentials early on and guide them to excel in school and beyond. Next, we have Aditi Srinivasan. Miss Aditi lives in Southern California with her husband, Vikram. She grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and lived in India for a number of years, moved to New Hampshire, Seattle, and now she's in US. She enjoys singing, playing board games, identifying birds, and riding her bicycle on the beach. For work, she's a technical program manager at Amazon, and she's been there for 7 years. This is the first time she has judged a debate, so she is very excited to be here meeting everyone today. So next we have Mr. Anup Bhatt, and he recently finished his undergrad at Carnegie Mellon University and will be starting his PhD there in the fall. He enjoys reading, piano, and controlling robots that float through water and space. He has been part of Northeast Havyaka Association ever since he was born. He's performed piano with his dad and his sister in local HAA chapters and HAA conventions since 2007. He has enjoyed being in all the music symphonies in HAA conventions so far. Now I'll pass it on to Ashika to introduce the rest of the judges.
Thank you, Deepa. I'm Ashika Bhatt. I'm a high school junior. I live in Pennsylvania and attend North Penn High School. Our next judge is Miss Aditi Dinakar, who grew up in Iowa and now resides in Washington, D.C. Aditi graduated from Creighton University and has experience in community organizing, student government, campaigns, and academic competitions. She's previously worked for a member of Congress, amongst other political jobs and internships, and currently works in a state policy for Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Aditi now enjoys exploring new food and restaurant in DC and traveling. Our next judge is Pujit Hegde. Pujit has been a part of the New Jersey Havyaka community since his earliest years. He's a third-year student at Stanford studying mathematical and computational science. His academic work has included projects in data science and computational biology. Pujit is also very passionate about political organizing and social activism. In his free time, he also enjoys reading as well as experimental art and music. Next, I'd like to introduce Sriram, our moderator. Mr. Sriram Shankaran lives in New Jersey, and he loves various sports and games and puzzles and actively participates in various competitions. He enjoys coaching kids on volleyball and table tennis and is an avid learner, constantly keeping learning various technologies and platforms. He's a staunch believer of Indian culture, tradition, and language, and wants to see kids of Indian origin carry our rich culture and tradition forward. He's very passionate about doing community service and keeps himself and people around him active. He has organized debates, hobbies, chess, and other activities for people of all age groups. He's an engineering graduate from Mulnad College, Hassan, and holds an MBA from Temple University of Pennsylvania. Now I'd like to hand it over to our moderator, Sriram. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Amazing beginning to our debate. MCs Deepa and Ashika, such a warm welcome. I know you're showing what the debate is going to be today. Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, Usha, for giving me this opportunity to moderate an exciting debate. Standardized tests should be abolished, yes or no? Thank you very much for that. I will be briefly laying out the rules for the debate. Before that, I'll introduce the participants like Usha announced. We'll go, there's two teams, Surya team and Chandra team. Surya team, we have Nidhi Bhatt, the 10th grade. She will be leading Surya team. Then we have Anup Shanbag, who is in 6th grade. We have Amog Bhatt, who is in 6th grade as well. We have Nachiket Hegde, who is in 7th grade, Preetham Hegde, who is in 7th grade as well, Daya Bhatt, who is in 6th grade, Yashika Hegde in 7th, and Pranav Hegde is 11th grade. So you can see there's about 8 participants in Surya team. We can expect some great debating skills being presented by each one of these guys. Moving ahead to the next team, Chandra team. We have Sana Barige, who is in 7th grade now. We have Soham Padhyana, 7th grade, who is the team lead for Chandra team. Sachet Hegde, 6th grade. Amoga Bhatt, 6th grade. Tejas Patel, 8th grade. Arushi Gadde, 5th grade. And Pranav Joshi, 10th grade. So we have the teams divided in as speakers as well as the background research. We will explore that later. We also have the timekeeper for today, Nishka Sriram. This is a very crucial role because Nishka will be telling us when each speaker has met the minimum required talking time, which is 2 minutes, and the maximum, which we try to restrict to 3 minutes. And now, if there is some excess overflow there, that's fine. We are not going to kill you guys. Let's lay down some basic ground rules, guys. All the rules of debate, rules of engagement have been shared with all the participants, the judges ahead of time. Today, the rules will be very generic rules will be disclosed here for the general audience. So there's a total organic team time allotted is about 10 minutes for each time. It really depends, right? 2 times 7, maybe 14 minutes, we are fine with that. The rebuttal time is 30 minutes. That happens at the end of the debate. There's going to be Q&A time. There's 7 speakers per team, as we just discussed, and 1 background research, right? Then the timekeeper is again Nishka. Only the moderator, that is me, is allowed to interrupt the speakers and ask any questions. Judges are allowed to send questions directly to me, like, we have other our way of communication, either chat or WhatsApp, right? And I, as a moderator, will be posting the question to the speakers, either on the live or at the end for the during the rebuttal time. Then, like I said, again, I'm reiterating, each speaker is expected to speak at least 2 minutes, and maximum try to limit for 3 minutes. If you don't touch the 2 minutes mark, then you won't get full points for that, guys. So I'm just reminding you on that one. Technical difficulties, as the debate is being conducted on Zoom, expect technical difficulties, right? Murphy's law, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So audio video issues will happen, so please be patient. And in case of any unforeseen, right, we'll make the adjustment with regard to the time, etc. Okay, with that said, I think we are ready to start the debate. Now I will be basically welcoming the first debater from let me look at my list, and there it is. First debater is Nidhi Bhatt from Surya team, who is also a lead. Nidhi, take it away.
Namaskara. Ivattu Team A, Surya team, standardized testing ippulaga heli vadiste. A standardized test is a test that is administered and scored in a consistent manner. The earliest evidence of these kind of tests was during the Han Dynasty in ancient China. Commoners and nobles alike were allowed to take a civil service examination. This opened doors in Han China as it surpassed class and everyone was able to elevate their social status. Now, however, the increase in standardized testing has led to greater disparities in social class among students. Something that was once meant to provide opportunities is now preventing them. Standardized testing is often a deciding factor in decisions that dictate the lives of students. For example, in the United States, colleges use standardized tests like the SAT and ACT to determine if students are qualified enough to attend their institutions. I contend that standardized testing is not even a standard way of examining intelligence, as it fails to take into account situations in the students' lives. This tragic devolution of the standardized testing concept and poor execution to exercise equality amongst the tests is one of the several reasons the Surya team affirms that standardized testing should be abolished. Our reasons are as follows. Number 1, standardized testing is classist, meaning it is prejudiced and favors those in higher economic standing. Number 2, standardized testing is racist, meaning it is discriminatory to those in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. Number 3, standardized testing is sexist, meaning it is discriminatory typically against women on the basis of sex. Number 4, standardized testing derails the mental health of students. Number 5, standardized testing leads to substance abuse. Number 6, standardized testing does not adequately show improvement in students. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Your opening statements and your line of argument is very strong. With that, I'll now introduce the next speaker from Chandra team, Sana Barige.
ಸಾವು ಮತ್ತು ತೆರಿಗೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊರತುಪಡಿಸಿ ಯಾವುದು ಖಚಿತವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, meaning nothing is certain but death and taxes, a famous quote from Benjamin Franklin. I disagree with this statement and believe there should be an addition to it. If we're being honest to ourselves, nothing is certain in life but death, taxes, and tests, or at least this should be the reality. For there is no reason strong enough to justify abolishing standardized testing. My name is Sana Barij. I am in the 7th grade and from the Northeast chapter. Standardized tests should not be abolished, and our team is ready to present many ideas supporting this. Soham will talk about how standardized tests are widely known as the best way to measure the education system's performance. Next, Sachit will present how it gives motivation or a goal to the student. and Amoga will describe how it teaches handling pressure. Then Tejas will talk about how it teaches other necessary life skills. Lastly, Urushi will present how standardized tests will identify talented students so they can receive the level of education they need. The tests and the process were created through planning and were not hastily made. If we are seeking ways to improve our education system, standardized tests are not where we should start. The tests do a good job of ensuring there's no bias or other variables affecting the student's skill measurement. They have an undeniable and irreplaceable purpose, and getting rid of them is a foolish and impractical idea, as the consequences would outweigh any positives. Any alternative would be a greater burden on the students and the school. Standardized tests help students in numerous ways, and their colossal impact proves that they should be kept. They are a tool we should utilize to its fullest extent. An exemplary way we can do this is by using this tool to measure education systems and their impact. Standardized tests are crucial to the education system, which is why our team believes they should not be abolished.
Remarkable introduction. Sanam, you just met the 2 minutes time. I see the timekeeper just, okay, remarkable. Thank you very much, Sanam. With that, I'll introduce the next speaker from Team Surya, Anup Shanbhag.
Namaskar, everybody. So I'm Anup Shanbhag and I'm in 6th grade. I live in California. And I think standardized tests should be abolished because people aren't even getting the chance to participate due to socioeconomic status differences. Impecunious people can't afford to take standardized tests. People go into the state of being impecunious because of racism or being born out of unrich families. A study shows that standardized tests don't show a student's intellect, but instead it shows a socioeconomic status difference. In addition, for several years, the Western Kentucky University has noticed a direct correlation between socioeconomic status and standardized tests. The relationship is linear. The higher the socioeconomic status, the higher the test score. Similarly, according to digitalcommons.wku.edu, it is well documented that students from more affluent families typically score significantly higher than less affluent families. According to files.eric.gov, correlation studies show a strong relationship between high poverty and poor academic performance. Powalski stated that poverty is more influential to SAT performance than even gestational exposure to drugs. In 2008, a study forecast showed nearly 100% failure in the standardized test. The study cited that the reason for this was due to high poverty. An association reported 50% of all high poverty students would not graduate from high school. Finally, according to CNBC.com, researchers have repeatedly found out that students enjoy significant advantages throughout the college application process. A paper titled Race, Poverty, and SAT Scores found out that wealthy students have the best SAT scores. The low SAT scores were produced by Black people. White people, on the other hand, proved to get excellent SAT scores. In conclusion, standardized tests should be abolished because these tests show a socioeconomic status difference. Thank you.
Impressive, Anup. Thank you very much. There were so many numbers flowing there, 50%, 40%. I didn't get any of those. I hope the judges are working as hard to validate all those claims you made now, right? Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Anup. With that, I'll introduce the next speaker to the floor from Chandra team. It is Soham Padhyana.
Namaskara. Nanna ಹೆಸರು ಸೋಹಂ. ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡೈಸ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭ್ಯಾಸ ಕಲಿಯುವಿಕೆಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯನ್ನು ಅಳೆಯಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರವಲ್ಲದೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಳೆಯುತ್ತಾರೆ. Hi guys, my name is Soham. I'm in 7th grade from the Northeast chapter. I am arguing that standardized tests should be kept. This Kannada sentence translates to, standardized tests are the best way to measure the education system's performance. Not only does it measure students' performance, but it also measures teachers' performance. In an article published by the pros and cons of standardized testing, the authors state, we compare data over a number of years to find trends. We want to identify what change led to the improved performance and how we can continue to implement this within our curriculum. We're also able to use a student's historical record and assessment data to monitor their progress and uncover any challenges the students they may need to overcome. Using standardized tests, we can analyze areas students need to work on to help them improve and excel. Educators can also enhance the curriculum based on success on historical students' records. Standardized tests are vital for assessing students' and teachers' annual progress and growth. There is no way to measure other students' performance without standardized tests, and there is no argument against standardized tests, and they must be kept.
Thank you, Soham. That was right on dot, a riveting reply. Very good job. I like the pauses you gave in between. That kind of emphasizes your line of thought. That's good job. Thank you. Okay, moving ahead, guys. We will welcome next speaker, which is Amog Bhatt from Team Surya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amog. I'm in California, and I'm here to say that standardized tests should be abolished. Standardized tests should be abolished because they're simply not convenient. Teachers and students suffer from the inconvenience of the standardized tests. Teachers' salaries have been known to depend on student scores on the standardized test. Teachers can be fired for low scores on the standardized test, as it can make the school lose its funding. This prevents teachers from teaching a broader perspective on their subject, as they may have to suffer pay losses for it. Some essential things that teachers might want to teach their students, but do not have the time or ability to because of the standardized tests. According to studies done by associations, more teachers would increase their salary than help their students grow academically and non-academically. Standardized tests also don't help students improve. They don't show a student's understanding of a subject. Most students can simply cram information on the last 1 or 2 days and complete with great test scores. According to studies done by Edutopia, 75% of students forget what they learned in 6 days after standardized tests. Standardized tests also inflict a great level of stress on students. Their future depends on how much information they can memorize in a short time, rather than how much they understand. People's college can be changed. Lots of people who are not able to score higher than 80% on standardized tests are not allowed to graduate from high school. Standardized tests also ask more factual questions that wouldn't help in real life, and don't give many questions such as word problems. True or false questions are much more simple, common sense questions, rather than making you think and understand the true meaning of a certain subject. To put it simply, standardized tests prevent students and teachers from learning what they should and teaching what they should, and creating stress levels children should not have to go through, which can affect standardized tests. Some students can have better stress, be able to handle stress levels better than others, which obviously leads to a higher test grade. Thank you.
Awesome, Amog Bhatt. Very nice. I liked your, you talked about memorizing stuff. When we were kids, we had to do that a lot, but now the times have changed. Good job on that. With that, I'll introduce the next speaker from Team Chandra, Sachet Hegde.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸಚೇತ್ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ. ನಾನು 6th grade ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. Hello, I live in Michigan and I am in support of standardized tests. ಸ್ಪರ್ಧಾತ್ಮಕ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಯ ಸಾಧನೆಯನ್ನು ಅಳೆಯೋದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಗುರಿ ನಿರ್ಧರಿಸಲು ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. Meaning, standardized tests, along with being the best way to measure a student's performance, can also help with goal setting. They bring in motivation, encouragement, and incentivize students to study as to achieve their goals. For example, let us say a student wants to achieve their goal of getting a high score on the exam. They can do this by, say, studying for 30 minutes a day. This demonstrates that standardized tests teach goal setting. They will set goals, and once they achieve them, they will be encouraged to set goals again and work towards them again. This allows their knowledge and their skills to progress at rapid rates. They will use these skills later on in life too, because it will work well for them. And since it has worked well for them in the past, they will use it in the future. Goal setting is a needed skill in life. Without it, you would have no objective. And if you have no objective, you don't know where you're going to go. So you're never actually going to achieve anything. Atta hari gagana har beku heli gadedu. Hangeya, standardized tests are just a stepping stool for later years in your life. Along with this, these tests, unlike alternatives, allow and offer an objective measurement for the student rather than a subjective measurement. And now, as mentioned before, once you set a goal for yourself, you will want to be satisfied with the result. And therefore, you will work honestly and you will achieve your goal and you will be satisfied. This is an example of goal setting and motivation working hand in hand. And if standardized tests can help with these skills, it is all the reason to keep them. Thank you.
Great, mind-blowing performance. I especially liked your Kannada/Haveka deliveries. Those were precise. Nice, good job. Thank you. With that, I'll introduce next speaker from Team Surya, Nachiket Hegde.
Hello. You may start on my first word. Namaste, judges. Now, my name is Nachiket, and now I will be presenting a case about how standardized testing causes mental health issues. Standardized tests can damage a student's mental state. Harvard states the effects it has on a student's physical and emotional well-being are also quite troubling and deserve attention. Stress goes with standardized tests. Harvard mentions researchers measured the stress levels of children during weeks of high-staking standardized tests that could have an implication for course placement, school sanctions or rewards or education policy, and weeks without testing. They measured the stress levels by comparing cortisol, which is the main body stress hormone. It works with certain parts of your brain to control your mood, motivation, and fear. On average, students have 15% more cortisol in their system during the period of standardized tests than on days with no high-stake testing. Students who show the largest variation in cortisol between testing and non-testing weeks tend to perform worse on tests than expected. Cortisol spikes weren't the only culprit. Some students' cortisol dropped on testing days, which was associated with lower performance. And stress leads to suicide. Suicide.org states, too much stress can cause or exacerbate suicidal feelings, which leads to impact. The impact is that more kids are committing suicide. Lohood.com states, the American Academy of Pediatrics shared that children's admission to hospitals for suicidal thoughts more than doubled from 2008 to 2015, with more than 10% of patients between 5 and 11 years old. Another impact is student use of drugs. High school students use prescription drugs non-medically to help with concentration. This makes high school students similar to college undergraduates whose motives for use are mainly to enhance academic performance. Judges, Nanu Nana case Mugista Idde. And thank you.
Thank you, Nachiket. A very unique topic. You took up a very unique topic. That's really nice of you to address the socio-emotional, the physical, the health-related issues right out of this. This is really brilliant. Thank you very much for that. With that, I will now introduce the next speaker from Team Chandra, Amogha Bhatt.
Namaskara. My name is Amogha Bhatt. I am from East Coast Chapter and I'm in 6th grade.
I'm arguing that standardized tests need to be kept. Standardized tests are known to help students handle pressure. Pressure will occur no matter what in your life. You may even have some pressure in your elementary years. Standardized tests will help you in any other tests that you encounter in school, college, or life. ಈಗ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡಿ ರೆಡಿ ಆದರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಚಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಸುಧಾರಿಸಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸು ತಯಾರು ಇರ್ತು. Meaning, by undergoing struggles, you will be better prepared for other hassles that may occur. Standardized tests are going to help prepare for bigger tests and teaches you to start handling more pressure. If you are aware of an upcoming test and you have completed systematic preparations, then there's less stress. If you study daily, do good revisions, clarify doubts with teachers, discuss the subjects with friends, and make a good timetable, then there's less stress. If you are good at handling pressure in tests, you can be better prepared for job interviews. According to the famous proverb, if there's a will, there's a way, we have to have a strong mindset to tests and prepare well in advance. Day-to-day, step-by-step preparations can lead to less stress during tests. This means that we should be able to handle the pressure and succeed in life too. It is teaching students how to learn to be organized and handle pressure at the same time. Other methods for preventing stress during standardized testing include establishing a calm learning environment through discussion and practice time management skills by timing students during select tests and allowing them to be accustomed to performing within a strict time limit. There is a famous proverb in Kannada, Talidavanu Baliyanu, meaning if you tolerate patiently, you will lead good life. So if we are aware of the test, prepare systematically and patiently, there will be less stress during the test. Thank you.
Spectacular, Amogha. Very well done. Very nicely delivered. Haveka and Kannada. ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ನೀನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ಯಾ, ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ. Nice proverbs. Where there's a will, there's a way. I like that actually. That's one of my all-time favorites. Good job on that. Okay. With that, we'll move on to next speaker from Team Surya, Preetham Hegde.
Namaskara, my name is Preetham Hegde and I'm in 7th grade and I live in California. And I think standardized testing should be abolished because it's unfair to lower income students and it costs the states that hold them a lot of money. Standardized tests are required in most schools around the US and most colleges require you to have taken the test. But along with these required tests comes a hefty fee. While many families can afford to pay for these tests, a lot of families in the US and sometimes even in our own communities can't afford to pay the $50 to $70 per each and every test, let alone retaking it like many students do in order to get a higher score. Low-income families also might not be able to afford expensive test preparation, which includes tuition classes, standardized test practice books, and other after-school activities that could help them. Wealthier or more affluent students are able to afford expensive test preparation, giving them a huge advantage over other students. Also, they can easily retake the test over and over again, improving their overall score. It doesn't help that the other major tests, such as the AP exams and ACT tests, also cost a lot of money. These tests can range anywhere between $30 to $63, and if you take both of these tests, they'll eventually add up costing a lot of money. All of these tests can help a student achieve more in life, but it's all hindered by a paywall. A study from Inside Higher Education concluded that the lowest average SAT scores come from the students whose families make less than $20,000 in household income, compared to the highest average that come from students whose families make more than $200,000. This is completely opposite of what these tests are saying, in which they give all students of different income levels, ethnicities, and genders, and they all have a fair chance. Also, not only do students have to pay for these tests, but also states have to pay for these tests as well. Standardized testing requires the state to pay a sum of money for the test to be administered. According to the new report on assessment finances, which states standardized testing regimes cost states a sum of $1.7 billion a year overall. Plus, the standardized testing industry gets around $7 billion every single year. This money could be used to pay teachers more or pay schools more to get better materials and overall have a better learning environment. These are the things that teach a student and allow them to learn the material much better. In the end, I think standardized testing should be abolished because they don't show a student's knowledge, but rather it measures the amount of money each student has, and it causes a major burden on states. Thank you.
Pritam, a very high quality delivery of your points and topic. Good job there. Thank you. With that, we'll move to the next speaker from Team Chandra, Tejas Patel.
Hi, my name is Tejas Patel. I'm in 8th grade and I live in California. So I think standardized testing should not be abolished, and like it teaches certain life skills that is very important. Yeah, so one of it is handling pressure. So like standardized testing, because it's really pressurized, like it's normal to feel pressure, but like since you have a lot of time to study for it, you can study with like other people, and you can even like watch videos or like ask someone how to improve your confidence. Standardized testing, it also helps you like with what you want to do in life. Example for the like SAT.
Tejas?
Yeah.
Sorry to stop you. We seem to have audio issue from your side. The mic is generating a feedback noise. I was hoping you could fix it, or maybe the team lead, Soham, you could drive this.
Okay, let me try.
In the meantime, I just want to tell you guys, like, amazing debate, guys, because at your age, oh my God, I couldn't handle this much pressure. You guys are doing, multiple, multi-talented kids. All of you are. I'm so sure. Right now, right? So good job. We are almost halfway through. We have about, so Tejas is 1, 2, 3. I think we have 3 speakers from Team Chandra. We have 2 speakers from Team Surya left. After that, it's just a brief an overview of what we are looking ahead in this debate. Is we have, I think, of course, Ashika and Deepa will talk more about it. We have a filler, like about 15-20 minutes, where the judges will collect the data, and we'll get back to the Zoom call to announce the winning team, etc. So for now, I think Tejas, you can please go ahead and try again. If we still have the feedback loop, then we will look what's there. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, standardized testing, like, it helps you know your strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah. So like, for the language arts part of the SAT example, like you would never know that like you're a great
Yes, so we seem to have lost Tejas there. Team lead can take over here.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
My mom came. Yeah. As I was saying, yeah. So standard testing helps you with your strengths and weaknesses, because like you could like to write and like write essays and stuff, but you'd never know that if it wasn't for the standardized testing. Yeah. So then standardized testing, it also helps you with like social skills, you could say, because like if your friend asks you want to study together for a test, you study together for the test, right? But they're not that great. You'd have to deal with it and try to teach them. This is pretty important later in life. Yeah, so as a recap, standardized testing helps you with stress, social skills, helps you know what you want to become in life, your strengths and weaknesses, and improves confidence.
Amazing, Tejas. Truly amazing. You know why? Because it's not really about the content or how you spoke, right? It's life throws you challenges, different challenges. Like today, you know, the audio issue, you didn't expect it and you had to redo it. Your mom had to say something there to help you out there. You handled that challenge as well, and you did an amazing job at that, right? Good job, Tejas.
Thank you.
We'll move ahead to the next speaker in a list from Surya team, Daya Bhatt.
Okay, so my time starts on my first word, which is now. Namaskara. Nama hesuru Daya Bhatt. Today's topic is, should standardized tests be abolished? And my point is, yes, they absolutely should be abolished. Contention 1 is how students are not able to do their best on tests. According to standardizedtests.procon.org in 2020, standardized tests only determine which students are good at taking tests and have not improved student performance. Standardized test scores are also easily influenced by outside factors such as stress, hunger, tire. The tests only show which students are best at preparing for and taking tests, not what knowledge students might exhibit if their stomachs weren't empty. External stereotypes also play a part in this score. Students are tested on grade-appropriate material, but they're not retested to determine if they have learned the information they were tested poorly on the year before. Each state also develops its own kind of test, and standardized tests are not necessarily comparable across state lines, leaving nationwide statistics shaky at best. Brennan Bustede, Executive Director, Education and Workforce Development, at the time of quote stated, despite an increased focus on standardized testing, the U.S. results in the international comparisons show that we have made no significant improvement over the past 20 years. The U.S. most recently ranked 23rd, 39th, and 25th in reading, math, and science, respectively. Contention 2 is mental health. According to CPR.org, Ashley Dean in 2019, as testing increases, so does student stress. Psychologists and pediatricians have watched it ramp up since 2009, when President Barack Obama's administration introduced the nationwide Common Core standards. The Council for Great City Schools conducted a survey of 66 urban school districts in the US and found that a student takes 112 mandated standardized tests from pre-K to graduation, an average of 8 standardized tests a year. Now, when we think about this, standardized tests causes so much stress for students, and the stress is not needed because they don't even help students improve who did badly. Not only that, but research also indicates that test anxiety is a common occurrence in classroom, affecting performance of students from kindergarten to college. Estimates are between 40 and 60% of students have significant test anxiety that interferes with them performing up to their capability. This means that standardized tests and tests in general affect a student's mental health and their performance in the classroom negatively. Judge, stand with me to affirm this argument because standardized tests should be abolished. They are unnecessary and cause stress and anxiety, and there's no reason for them to do so because they don't even help students to improve. Standardized tests aren't as useful as they're made out to be. In fact, they're worse. With all that I have said, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daya. A very passionate argument there. And the alarm, your timer went off. Really very passionate, and I like your preparation with the timer and how you were forceful about your points, your topic, and you addressed to the judges directly, right? That was impressive and very passionate too. Really good job there. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will go to the next speaker from Team Chandra, Arushi Gadde.
Hello, my name is I'm in 5th grade and I'm from the Midwest chapter.
Arishi, can you speak a little loud? We can barely hear you. A little bit louder, please. Just speak up. Yeah, that's much better. This is much better.
And I'm from 5th grade and I'm from the Midwest chapter. I'm arguing that standardized tests should be kept. Standardized testing helps determine which students have the potential to be placed in talented and gifted classes so they can receive the level of education they deserve. Standardized testing ನಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿಭಾವಂತರನ್ನು ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಗುರುತು ಮಾಡಲಾಗುವುದು. Meaning, by using standardized tests, you can identify students that have potential or work hard. Talented and gifted classes teach additional material but keep the student progressing through the curriculum at the same rate as other students. For example, after the gifted students have completed the normal work in the curriculum, an enrichment program might provide them with additional information about a subject. Standardized testing also tells which students did not get a good score so they can be put into student support or work with a teacher to improve on those subjects. The obvious purpose of standardized testing is to create a standard. By measuring students against that universal standard, it becomes easier to evaluate and rank them. If there is no standardized testing, poor people with talent and intellect could not be acknowledged. Scholarship foundations and organizations who give scholarships will not be able to find people with merit, so only with people with power and money would be able to get scholarships. There is a famous proverb in Kannada, Kai kesaradere bai masuru, meaning if you get your hands dirty, your mouth will be rewarded food. This relates to standardized tests in a way, because if you get a good score on a standardized test, you can get a good education and a good future. This is why standardized testing should not be abolished. Thank you.
Thank you, Arishi. A very forceful and compelling argument there. I mean, what can you do when a 5th grader stands up to debate about the standardized tests? The judges have a very tough task evaluating. It's going to be a very tight competition, I'm sure of it. Thank you very much, Arishi. Good job there. With that, we'll move ahead to the next speaker from Team Surya, Yashika Hegde.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಯಶಿಕಾ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡೈಸ್ಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. A standardized test is a test that is administered and scored in a consistent or standard manner. My contention is that standardized tests are racist, classist, and sexist. An article states that racial bias has not been stripped from standardized tests. A professor at the University of California at Los Angeles explains how discrimination is purposefully built into standardized tests. Standardized achievements are intended chiefly to discriminate among students. Additionally, an article proves how standardized tests are racist. Tests have been instruments of racism and a bias system. Research demonstrates that Black, Latina, Native students, and some Asian groups experience bias from standardized tests administered from early childhood through college. Standardized tests have become the most effective racist weapon ever devised to objectively degrade Black and brown minds and legally exclude their bodies from prestigious schools. An article states that all students do not do equally well on multiple choice tests. Girls tend to do less well than boys. A 2018 study by Stanford University's Sean Reardon found that test format accounts for 25% of the gender difference in performance in both reading and math. This is inferior because it shows how many girls perform less well, which affects girls immensely. Previous research has detailed the potential ineffectiveness of standardized testing. The purpose of the present study was to determine educator opinions of standardized testing, state standards, and whether both are essential to students and teachers. Participants reported weakness of standardized testing, which is why they should be abolished. Thank you.
Excellent closing remarks by Yashika Hegde from Team Surya. Thank you very much, Ashika, for that nice delivery. With that, we'll now call upon the last speaker to make closings from Chandra team to make his closing statements. Pranav Joshi.
Hello, my name is Pranav Joshi. I am in 10th grade and I am from the Northeast chapter. To reiterate previously stated points, standardized testing is an essential portion of the modern education system and has many beneficial ramifications. Standardized testing allows for a student's performance to be observed, which is essential in order to understand where the student may need help or areas where they do not need to be assisted in. In order for students to be taught in a way that best suits them, they must be taught differently and in different environments based on their strengths and weaknesses. Without a concrete way to measure a student's progress, students will not receive the attention and help that they need. In the same way, these tests can also be used to measure the effectiveness of the teaching that the students are being exposed to. Once again, there must be a set standard in order to evaluate all teaching in the same way, and check whether it is reaching the standards that it needs to. Without standardized tests, the external factors that affect a student's opinion of a teacher and the fluctuations in grades given to students would be the only, and flawed, methods of evaluating teachers and their practices. Standardized testing is also necessary in order for students to learn important life skills, such as goal setting and how to deal with pressure. Without standardized tests, students would not learn how to work to their highest ability, and they would not be able to handle situations in which they are required to perform well. These qualities are extremely important in relation to succeeding later in life. It also recognizes students with expertise in an area and helps them receive the education that they deserve. By recognizing students with special talents, the talents that they have can be nurtured, and they can be allowed to reach higher points than they would have been able to if they had been given a general education rather than a specialized one. Ultimately, standardized testing is essential in order to allow students to flourish in the education system and to teach them important life skills, which is why it should be continued in school curriculums. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thank you, Pranav. Wanting for more. That's what I would say at the end of this beautiful debate. With that, I'd like to introduce the two background research who are really not, I know that you just heard, Pranav Joshi, who is also the backend research research team member for Team Chandra. Pranav Hegde, who is a backend research team member for Team Surya. A real quick, shout out for those two guys as well. Moving ahead now, the floor is open for rebuttal time. It's 6 p.m. It's perfect. So the floor is open for rebuttal time, guys. So far in my chat window, I've not received even a single question from either of the team. That means the debate was perfect. The content was perfect. There's no questions at all. Is that right? Sachet, I see your hand up.
So is rebuttal starting now?
Yes, it's
so can
open
I start
now.
the rebuttal now?
Any of you guys can post a question and give some time for the others to talk.
Okay. So I heard a lot of my fellow Surya members saying that tests are racist, sexist, that kind of thing. But if they're racist and sexist, is that really the test's fault? No, it's the creator of the test's fault. No, it's the community's fault. And the community, you're fixing the wrong problem if you remove standardized tests. The correct solution is to get the community's attitude right, not to remove standardized testing. It's not standardized testing's fault.
Well, I'd like to respond to that. While I didn't cover this topic, can I just respond to this question or comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is, while it may be the people who create the test is still a form of showing prejudice against different minorities, racial, like in terms of racial, gender, and like class, right? So even if the people themselves, it's them at fault, removing, keeping standardized tests still brings them, still shows that it still gives the form of prejudice against these minorities. So it's overall a better decision to take out standardized testing.
So I have a question on that. So if we are to, so if instead of removing standardized tests as a whole, why can't we just fix the standardized testing itself? Why do we have to remove the entire thing?
Okay, now this is a common thing. It's actually not just like a big racial difference. It's actually small things. It can be affected by our bias every day, where we see a difference and different people assume different things about them, right? And it's not necessarily about the questions given in any way. It's about the grading, and that's about the people, right? And the thing is, since previously people on both teams, I'm pretty sure, talked about how it helps you get into college. Most of the speakers are on the Surya team, but it helps you get into college. But if the grades are prejudiced themselves, then that's just an inequitable grade, which you can count on to get into college.
And also, even if the type of test format was changed, it still wouldn't help.
Because the people themselves need to be changed, which is practically impossible for humanity. We're biased every single day, whether it's small about a different team or it's big about different races and such.
Well, today that may have been a few years ago, but nowadays we have like tests, and tests are like sometimes we take those tests online. Like in my state, we do MSTEP, which is a Michigan standardized test, and we do it online. So there's no teacher grading involved. There's no bias involved. So nowadays there's we're actually eliminating some of that racial prejudice.
Well, in many countries, there aren't online tests. Like where I live, we don't have online tests. The teacher grades it herself. And I've seen many kids in my class like been treated unfairly because of their race. So yeah.
On a new topic, Daya in her arguments explained how standardized tests are unreasonable due to stress amounts. Well, if it's stressful to study or prepare for a test, you can learn to break it apart and organize time. You can also study with people, with your friends, or new people to make friends. It's a win-win. You learn how to deal with the stress and maybe make some friendships while you're at it. Standardized tests teach you to learn cooperation, and it teaches perseverance.
Well, what you say might be true for some people. You can't expect everyone to have the time in their day to be able to study or whatsoever. I know a lot of people who have parents who put them in lots of classes, have their day filled up. I can't really ever talk to them outside of school, right? And also, you can't expect that students should just be able to like organize their time. It's not an easy fit. And also, according I'm gonna just pull up my site. So according to dhsnews.org by Justin Wheeler in 2019, many students are involved in a number of extracurriculars, take AP classes, and take the ACT or SAT. And a student's best effort and skill is not represented in their state assessment scores. So even if they study or and whatnot, the tests are, and also according to the same site, teachers don't know what's on the state assessments. So there's no full way to prepare. And that means that students won't be able to fully prepare for these tests. And again, that just goes against what you just said about how students should like organizing their time to be able to study. Because so in the end, students won't even have the time, and like they don't even know what to study for because the tests are unexpected. Teachers don't even know what's happening.
Okay, one way you can combat that is by consulting your teacher or your local counselor for help. There are also many practice tests online that can help you prepare and study, and you can study with other people and other friends if you have the time, or as my first part, you can consult your teacher, email your local counselor for help.
Okay.
There are many
First,
ways.
for the surprise test, you can't actually email your teachers because they don't know. And for local consultants, local council, I'm not sure that they because they have to manage affairs of the county. I'm not sure they'll be able to help one student. And also for many virtual things and student tests and all that stuff, I'm not people do have a lot of tests, and they have a lot of students have a hard time actually trying to do it. And there's a lot of stress going on in that stuff. And the thing about it is that there's just a lot of time span, and it'll be really hard. And that's why I think that projects would actually be a better alternative to a test, because according to according to an article called Tests versus Projects, which is more effective, it states projects are also enhance a student's learning experience because students have to apply the knowledge they have and demonstrate it in a way that proves they understand the concepts that they were taught.
Moving on to a different topic, one member from the Chanda team said that students standardized tests let students set goals for themselves, and when they achieve these goals, they are motivated to aim higher. Well, what if the student doesn't reach their goal or doesn't get the score that they wanted to? Won't this discourage the student and ultimately not motivate them at all?
So that means if a student.
So if that happens, if they don't reach their goals, what should happen is they should be motivated to succeed with their goal. So goal setting on goal setting.
But is there any sources or evidence that shows how that this is a case or mentality that a lot of students have?
Well, I know personally all my friends, they set goals for themselves to study. So all of my friends, they set goals to study or do this for the test, do this for some project. So yeah.
You talk about setting goals for yourself and continuously testing yourself, but for most people in this world, that is not a possibility. And even on top of that, if they get discouraged, that is their own personal feelings and how they feel about the test. You can't dictate that just because someone failed the test that they should feel motivated. No one can feel something, they should feel something. What they feel is what they feel. And as an administration and as an outside source, with institutions holding these discriminatory tests, that is something that they should do to combat this and combat the fact that because some people take these tests, they become discouraged and they might lead to self-harm or suicide. That is something that is not on the individual's level because they themselves cannot be expected to control their emotions in the way that you're making it seem. It is the expectation of those institutions to make it as so that they do not commit these things, because ultimately no institution should be driving these students to such great extents. That's unreasonable, and you're speaking in really hypothetical things and not looking at what is currently happening in this day and age and how to fix that.
The truth is, in this life, there's always going to be a situation where you make a goal and you're not able to achieve it. And that's something that the earlier you're familiar with it, the more likely you are to succeed. So if anything, the earlier you are, you set your sights on something and you fail, the more likely it is for you not to repeat the same mistake. And abolishing standardized testing won't change the fact that there are other causes in the world that can cause those same negative feelings.
But it will take out one thing that is causing negative feelings and might save how many said people. It's something that it's a preventative measure. Though there's other things, there will always be other things. But this one thing, if we're focusing now, and this one thing could save how many lives, could change so much in this world and make a difference.
But there are ways to cope with the stress and the problems that arise with preparing or possibly failing with it. And if you're unable to handle it, there's also the possibility that you're unable to handle what comes after possibly passing a standardized test.
Yeah, adding on to Sana, they might, the students, if they previously didn't do well and had a bad emotion or bad reaction to it, they can prepare for next time by consulting their teachers and counselors who are very qualified and can help students cope with stress and help them prepare for next time. That's what they're there
I think
for.
Okay,
blaming the individual. Oh, let me finish. I think it's blaming the individual for every time that they fail is just unreasonable, because there's so many people that passing this one test isn't their top priority. They have several different factors influencing their lives. And if we want people to have more access to education, as you said, standardized testing should be able to help people in poverty, impoverished people, gain higher access to life. If we want that to happen, then we have to make these tests more accessible. Saying set out time to study, set out time to do this, set out time to reach that goal of yours is unrealistic for so many people. They might be working jobs. They might have several different factors in their life. If your end goal is to help people reach their goal, if you want people to reach that goal of getting a higher score on that test and getting all the opportunities that you get from getting a higher score on that test, you have to make it more accessible. And it's not possible with these tests sometimes. So abolishing it is the best option. Nachiket wanted to say something.
And going on what Nidhi said about accessibility, there's another way of doing the pros that standardized test does, while also making it more accessible and less stressful for other kids. That's like what I said before, projects. It helps enhance the students' learning, and also because it's spread out, you will most likely do a much more be less stressful, and also they could spend more time when they have some time to work on it and be creative and all that stuff, which could definitely lessen the burden, and actually can go fit with their timetable.
Well, so I have an argument against Soham's speech. So you said that when you take standardized tests and you work with your friends to research, it slowly starts to take away the stress. But the problem is that if you're just born shy and you're always under stress, then that's never gonna go away. You can't really change that and influence the change.
But I mean, but the thing is, if you're just born naturally shy,
At a young age, just
uh,
over the course of your life.
Also, if you're naturally stressed, you also you can reach out to people to help cope with that. And
so can I respond to what you just said? So reaching out to people who can help. Sometimes it might be friends, but for people who are shy or some people, I see some people in my school who sit alone at lunch. They don't really kind of have many friends from what I see, or sometimes people don't really have that many people to reach out. And if it's a therapist or something like that, then again, that costs money. And again, that's a problem, because like we said before, people who don't have much money won't be able to afford this kind of stuff. Also, another point brought up before is to talk to counselors about the education and help prepare. If you're talking about school counselors, if teachers don't even know what's on the test, counselors at school will probably not be able to help you. And if you're talking about counselors outside school in such a way, that most likely will cost money. And again, bring up the same point from before, people who can't afford such things won't have that same privilege.
Yeah, but you can still prepare for the test. You could still prepare for the test, even if you don't know what's on it. You could still prepare.
And teachers and counselors may not be able to help one student by giving the student resources, but teachers and counselors are qualified and can help reduce stress.
Yes, but counselors
you can talk to your parents.
Work on maybe other students, and one may have only a limited amount of time, including teachers who have to maybe most teachers nowadays have to manage around 20 students now, so then they can't focus on just one student.
Yeah, and
Yeah, well, standardized testing isn't that stressful anyways. There's like a lot of ways to deal with stress, like for example, chewing gum or squeezing a stress ball. And most of the time the teachers will allow it. And it has been proven scientifically that chewing gum or squeezing a stress ball reduces stress.
I mean,
I'm
true, but
really much a kid. So what does projects have to do with like anything about this? Like, what does that?
oh, I'm just saying. Oh, for projects, so projects are going to be extended out of time, extended like in multiple days. So that'll make it less stressful because they don't have to do it like immediately or in one time, which would culminate all the stress to going there and could possibly fit in their time schedule because they can work it like bit by bit. Also, in one of my contentions about like an essay about tests versus projects, I stated that quote. I mean, the essay is stated quote. Projects also enhance students' learning experience because students have to apply the knowledge they have and demonstrate it in a way that proves that they understand the concept that they were taught. So it helps like students be like show it in a way, show that they know the concept and could like help the teachers or like the county to know if the students are academically good and like rate the teacher while also at the same time being less stressful and it takes away the cons of standardized testing. It takes some of the pros of standardized testing and gets rid of all the cons. So that's why like I think projects will be the best way if replacement.
Great guys, thank you very much. It's an intermission for the rebuttal. I just want to, first of all, great rebuttals, from both sides. A lot of data points, a lot of researches, and stuff are going. And I just got the feedback that some people are hesitating to speak out because many people are talking, and it's etiquette, right? We don't want to step on each other, so we just want to kind of moderate it in a way that you guys. Everyone gets a chance, really, right? That's the idea. So if you have a point to make, please raise your hand. I mean, in the live, you can do it this way. That would be nice. Or yeah, that would be nice. I saw Anoop Shanbag go first, and then we'll, because this keeps changing. So Anoop will go first, and then we'll have Preetham, and then Sana and Yashika, this order.
Yeah, so countering Arushi's point about chewing gum and playing with stress balls, like no teacher would really allow that in a class, and in many classrooms there's no eating gum. And when you eat gum, it puts this flavor in your mouth and it distracts you from the standardized test. So it takes your mind off the mentality of studying.
Good, Preetham, good.
Yeah. Adding on to what Anoop said, in a standardized test, it's not just the questions that you are forced to do, but you also have a time limit. Chewing gum in class won't really help you do that. Even if you have less stress, you still need to study way beforehand to be able to do all of the amount of questions they give. Besides, you don't even know how many questions they're going to give, and you don't know how hard each question is going to be. You might not even be able to finish the test. There's really nothing you can do about that. And it can be
quick points, guys. Stress. Yeah, we don't want Preetham, quick points. We need to go from the table. Make it quick.
Okay. It can range from stress to, in general, anything.
Perfect. Sana?
I think we need the Surya members are arguing with the mentality that the standardized tests are something that happens all at once, suddenly in like a short range, while in reality, students are given the resources and material they need from the beginning of their education. They're brought up with how to handle stress, how to go through tests, and it isn't something that they have to face all at once. It's something that's slowly brought to them. And the education system is consistently improving to try and make this easier on students.
Okay. So next is Yashika. After that is Amogha Bhatt, and then Arushi. Then Preetham will come back to you.
So many Chandra members said something about how standardized tests teach children how to handle stress. Well, this actually isn't true, because if you're put on a lot of stress at a young age, this just goes on through your life. And if you're not able to find ways, many students able to find ways to bear with the stress, which is why when they're adults, it affects them immensely and they may be diagnosed with anxiety or depression because of all the stress.
So adding on to like to argue Anoop's point, so when you said like chewing gum in class, so you could like contact the teacher and say you're like stressed about the test, and you could say like chewing gum makes me focus, so you could like they could like let you do that, and they could give you permission to do those things like if you ask them beforehand.
Teachers don't really.
Yeah, that's the case in Massachusetts. At least for us, all across Massachusetts.
Yeah, so
there
let
are lots.
Arushi make her point, and then we'll go to Tejas and Yashika. I think you guys had a point, and the judges want to hear you guys after Arushi.
Adding on to Senna's point, like standardized testing, it like basically just goes over what you have learned already and like sees how much of it you understand. And if you haven't learned it already, it'll like help you learn it and like get to familiarize the questions so you can like study for it more. So like if you don't know a question, you like after the standardized test, you could look it up or like ask somebody, and then you could like I don't know.
Tejas, your turn, and then we'll have Yashika.
All right, so thank you. For the point about the projects, I don't think it's I don't think it's like a super great idea because it really depends on the teacher. If the teacher isn't like if the teacher doesn't isn't like a really forgiving person, right? And like she's really strict, then like she could not give you an extension, and then like it could make it worse depending on how much the project is worth. And also, as for the point for the expensive part of the standardized testing, the school will fund it because like school funds it for you, because if you're like really good and you score good, then like it'll make the school also look good. So money shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, Yashika.
Arushi said that standardized tests help you learn, but in reality, they're just testing how much knowledge you've memorized, and many kids don't have good memory, so standardized tests don't necessarily help you learn, and I don't think any kid would really Google a question after the test is done.
Next, we'll go with I see Nachiket, Nidhi, Pritham, and then we'll have Dayabat as well. So we'll go in this order. Nachiket, you can go first.
So my opponents have talked about how like standardized tests just overview what everything is done, and it like just like helps you when like on the thing, and it doesn't like come all at you. The thing is that even if a person like does it, like the fact that it's all in one day could cause them enough stress. Like I have explained in my contention about how stress goes with standardized testing, and like how we talked about how cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, like how like on average students have 15% more cortisol in their system during the period of standardized tests than on days with no high stake testing. And like literally I said how like students who show the largest variation in cortisol between testing and non-testing weeks tended to perform worse, and even when some students cortisol dropped on testing days, which was also associated with lower performance. So the stress itself is causing kids to like do worser. And when kids do worser, then they're going to get stressed for the next time because they've done worse back and they expect another worse thing. It's like a cycle. However, with projects, the tests are it's like a test, but smeared out. So even though there might be some stress and like they have to deal with it, they're less stressed, which doesn't cause anxiety problems like later in adulthood, and you could still like fit it in their day.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left for rebuttal, guys. We are closing in on the time. So what we can do now is we have Nidhi on the in the line, Pritham, then I think we have Daya, and the last we will close with Amogha making his final rebuttal point. And after that, we will have to wrap it up, like, the judges have to collect the data and stuff. So this is the order. Nidhi, you can go first. Preetham, then we'll have Daya and Amogha. Nidhi, since you are the lead, you can hold back to be the final person making the point. I give you that rights if you want to leverage that, or you can go right now.
I'll go right now. So I have three main rebuttals, or I guess problems that I take with the arguments presented so far. First of all, I don't think we are arguing about the same level of things. A lot of the things that the Chandra team is saying, they are not standardized tests. They're simply talking about tests given in each individual classrooms after the final unit. That is not a standardized test that is defined. It's consistent. It's for several different people, and that kind of tests are SATs and ACTs, maybe AP exams at the end of the unit, but a simple test administered by a teacher, I don't think qualifies as a standardized test and cannot be argued in the same way that it's been argued. Also, it's not just the fact that the pressure of doing well on a test is not simply of just getting a good score, but also because a lot of these tests are gateways to futures. If you do well on the SAT, you increase your chances of getting into college. Those things of pressure cannot simply be gone by chewing gum or playing with a stress ball. And I think it's unreasonable to expect people to not be stressed and feel stressed when their futures are on the line because of these tests. And that's the main problem with these tests, is that they have such a big factor. They play such a big factor in the doors that they open to you in your life, and they can dictate the way your life goes. And a lot of poor, as we said, impoverished people.
Wrap it up, Nidhi. We don't want too long rebuttal.
Yeah, and if they are impoverished people, then they cannot retake the test and secure that future the same way impoverished people can. That's what we were talking about when talking about how these tests are classist. And also, lastly, test anxiety is a real form of mental health. Anxiety and depression that are caused by this excessive amount of stress are mental health issues, and they cannot simply be invalidated in a way where it's just get over it. If you study harder, it'll go away. These are actual mental disorders where hormonal imbalance or chemical imbalances in your brain can cause them. It's wrong to discourage or invalidate these issues the way a couple of people have been saying.
Thank you, Nidhi. Preetham?
To add to Nachiket's project ideas, we live in a day and age in which we all have to work together to perform things, and we go through this all throughout college and even in our jobs. If we have to work together, and doing a standardized test alone really doesn't show that. It really doesn't show how well people work together with others, and how well people just do things in general. And I want to also add something else. To add a standardized test cost money. When you take into account the amount of standardized tests there are, SAT, ACT, AP exams, each of them costs money. And if you take multiple AP exams, multiple ACT exams, and multiple SAT exams, those all cost money, and that's going to be a huge amount of money. And that's also adds another level of stress for students. Oh, I paid this much amount of money, and I don't want it to all go to waste. And this causes even more stress for students than they already have.
Is it Daya now?
So just a quick adding on to Nachiket's idea of projects. Actually, this is personal experience, because my science teacher actually, instead of doing more tests, we do projects. And that's actually a better evaluation of a grade, because people actually can show more effort in projects, because it's not like, oh, you can't work with anyone, or oh, there's a way of cheating, or oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. A lot of times tests hold lots of different restrictions, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. But then projects are more lenient, and you're able to stretch out your knowledge with projects. And open note quizzes, especially, which standardized tests are not, actually show how much knowledge the student has learned over all the time they've had.
And Amogha?
So to Nachiket's point, so he said every time and if you get like a bad grade and you keep doing worse, so if you get a bad grade, you want to have like more motivation, like you will probably have more motivation to get a better grade than that, than like get a worse grade than that. Like you're not gonna you want to get better grades, so you would have the motivation to get a better grade than that, like not keep getting worse.
Thank you, Amoga, for that point. With that, we actually come to the conclusion of rebuttal times. So officially, we conclude, unless there is a rebuttal point that you want to respond. Only the team leads can respond at this point. Only one point, and make it quick. Only the team leads if you want to, or we move ahead to next session. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we go ahead. So it's we just concluded the rebuttal time, guys. Great job on that. I quickly want to also kudos to the timekeeper for being patient and helping us through the debate. Showing the placard 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Thank you very much, Nishka. She's also my daughter. She's in 8th grade now. So with that, now we are moving to the next phase. I would like to bring back our MCs, Deepa and Ashika, to keep you folks engaged for next 10-15 minutes while that is me and the judges, collect the data and come back to you with the winner or the winning team. And there's going to be some announcements at the end as well. So hang back and enjoy the show further. Over to you, Deepa and Ashika.
Thank you, Anko. While the judges are counting the points and evaluating the debate, I'd like to introduce Gopal Bhatt Uncle, Havyaka President, for an overview of the upcoming convention.
Namaskara, Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. ಈಗ ಹವ್ಯಕ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ this one has been one of the pinnacles of the dream we discussed, especially when Ushaka came to me and discussed before the convention, we need to bring all generations together, not just those who are organizing the convention, but our senior members, Beam Batru Idare, and then our organizers. So we are all here, and our youth, like the kids who have grown up and into the industry and working, and also students and kids from 6th grade to 10th grade. They are all participating. This has been an excellent union. That is a dream come true. Thanks to Ushaka and team for making this happen, first of all. On top of that, you are meeting virtually now, all of you. But let us make it happen in person. For that, we are conducting HAA Convention. Just visit haaconvention.org that you see on my background here. This is the place where you can go and register, ask your parents, hey, I had this great argument with Daya. I had this argument with Nachiket about this standardized test, but I would like to have that at a dinner table. That is possible in 3 months. Go and tell your parents to go and register on haaconvention.org. We are meeting during July 2nd and July 3rd of this year in San Francisco Bay Area. Everyone is welcome. All the kids should come bring your parents. That is what we need, all of us to come together and make this happen. I invite every one of us to come there. Second one is the youth participation. This is an excellent opportunity going forward, just to meet people in person, establish that network that will last for lifetime. So let's make that happen. Thank you, Ushaka and team, for arranging this. And we'll meet again at the convention and in between over the Zoom call and other things.
Thank you, Gopalana. This is such a good feedback. We formed this youth forum last year, beginning of last year, and it's amazing how youth generations, right? Like how you explained, they all showed interest and came forward to join with every event we started doing from last year. So I'm really glad to see that it's going so well, and we're all connected from different age groups. We're all here, all the way up to the senior members. So very good. Thank you so much. And looking forward to having more youth participation and great event at the HAA Convention. Thanks, Gopalana.
Thank you.
Deepa, you can introduce the next program.
All right. So next we have Ms. Shreya Hegde, and she will talk about volunteering and benefits.
Hi all, my name is Shreya Hegde. Thank you, Deepa, for introducing me. I'm currently a student at the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm studying mechanical engineering here. So it's really good to meet all of you guys. Before I get started, I just want to say, like, all of you have been doing such an amazing job. I was involved with debate in high school, and so just seeing you guys be really passionate about this subject makes me really happy. So that's good. And today, I'm going to be talking about volunteering in high school and how it relates to the college admissions process and all of that. So before I get started, I also want to say that this is my personal experience. So it really varies on what schools you're applying to, what programs you're applying to, and what type of person you are, and so much more. So just take it all with a grain of salt. But whatever advice sits with you, then take that and move forward. So I have a few bullet points that I want to discuss, and we'll see what we have time for. And at the end, if any of you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. So to start off, is volunteering required in middle school and high school in order to apply for college? No, it is not required at all. So many students and a lot of my friends that had no volunteer experience at all have gone into amazing schools and to programs that they want to. And so just keep that in mind, that it is not required for you to volunteer, although it can genuinely boost your application by a lot. So first, it's also very important to keep in mind that you're not trying to fill in the hours. At the time when you're applying to college and just starting to think about the application process, it can be really overwhelming. I just did this last year, so trust me, I know how you're feeling and how stressful it can be. So when people start talking about, oh, I have 100 hours, I have 150, and it becomes a number game, just keep in mind that none of that is really important. At the end of the day, it is not the hours. It's not some sort of quota that you're trying to reach and finish 100 hours and then say you're done with volunteering for your life. Volunteering is a lot more than that, and the skills and experiences that you gain from it are so much worth more of your time than really anything else or a number that you write down. And to be honest with you, there is no activity that is better than the other, which leads me to my next point. Colleges are simply looking for your end result. And a question that you want to ask yourself when you're looking for an activity to join is, does it suit your interests? Not the interests of the colleges or what you think that the colleges are looking for. So what things are you interested in, and what really makes you passionate about your community? In middle school, I know a lot of you guys in this call are in middle school right now. It could be difficult to already know what you're interested in and to go out and find activities that really suit your interests. So my advice to you would be simply reach out to everyone and anyone. If you think about it, no one is going to say no to extra help. No one is going to say no to volunteer. A simple internet search can usually suffice, and you will find a bunch of things online that will suit your interests. If not, in addition to that, this year being a COVID year and 2 years before that, it's brought a lot of great online opportunities. So what I meant to say was, if you can't find anything in person, then there's a plethora of resources online, and really all you have to do is search. if you can't find anything online, then we have HAA right here. You literally have such a great network of supportive family members, parents, and youth who are ready with open arms to connect you to people. And everyone here is willing to help you. Even if you don't know them, simply being a part of HAA has given you that connection, and you can reach out to really anyone. So just ask around and see if any parents or youth are willing to support your cause or find something that you're interested in for you. Because with the hundreds of people that we have here in HAA as a whole, someone or something will click. Someone or something will know a thing or two about what you're interested in. So that's just to remind you that you have a lot of people here who want to see you succeed. In addition to that, another very underappreciated service I feel like is your county's municipal building. When I was in middle school and high school, a lot of the activities and organizations that I joined was through that. Simply being one of not that many people who went out to my county's recreational building, municipal building, and asked what things they needed help with or what problems they have was a great start to me starting a lot of projects and service and being part of service organizations in high school. And so if you go reach out to them, then they will be more than willing to help you out, even if you are just in middle school and looking for volunteer opportunities. So make sure you take use of that, because every county has one of those. If not a municipal building, then some sort of district building. And when you have these conversations with them, try to see if there's any problems that you feel are, important in your county that you want to solve, or something that you're passionate about that you can help out with. You can petition for something or allocate for some sort of change in your community, even if it's something as small as, starting a food bank, or getting more youth involved in your community's decision-making council. So there's a million things that you can really be a part of, and all you have to do is ask. Any skill that you have can be translated into a volunteering opportunity. So are you a confident speaker? Do you really like spending time with other people? Then, which I know all of you are, because I just saw you speak so confidently and so powerfully about your points. You can take that really, really good skill that you have, which not everyone does at your age, and develop that into a leadership position. So once you've already, spent some time with a group or community that you're part of, then you can take that interest that you have in this cause and turn it into becoming a board member or starting a project that's making a difference. And these are the things that colleges in their admissions processes really like to see, simply because it shows that you are genuinely interested about that cause. And it's not just a number that you're trying to reach for the number of hours that you're volunteering for. Additionally, you are able to earn awards in these areas. So after you've started to get involved with different organizations, or really if it's even just one, you can start to win awards by applying to county awards that are released yearly. In my county, when I was in high school, there were a lot of awards for doing certain projects or being part of certain volunteer organizations, such as, Girl Scouts. It could have been being involved with your school board, and so much more. And not only can you apply for that award, but in tangential to that, you're also earning all of the skills and experiences with the volunteer organization. So you could do two of these things at once, and it will help, improve your application at the end of the day. So if you're in a school band per se, you're playing saxophone, you can start volunteering at a old age home and play for them. Not only is it stress relieving for you, but you're also helping the community and, making people's days. Another thing is if you play soccer per se for your school team, You can create a club where you play soccer with an underprivileged community, whether it's those with disabilities or they're simply less financially able to support, spending money on different programs. You can turn a passion that you have. These are just two examples, whether it's playing music or taking part in a sport, and turn that into something that could really help you in the future. At the end of the day, all of these things are not to, help you get into a college, but should be something that you think not only for middle school and high school, but how can it help me later on in life, like develop my personal skills. So that's really important to remember when you're doing all of this as well. However, going back to college applications, how college applications work is that you're trying to create a narrative of who you are. So my next bullet point would be that all of the volunteer organizations that you're involved with, make sure it's things that align with your interests. So if you're doing a lot of random organizations or in a lot of random activities that don't really correlate simply because you're trying to fill that quota, then not only is it a waste of your time, but it's also not showing much about what you're interested in, or helping the council who's looking at your application decide what type of person you are. Instead, if you were to spend that same time really getting involved with one or two activities that have the same sort of topic or a central idea, then it will probably push your application by many, many times, simply because it gives them an idea of who you are, because that's what they're trying to see once they read your application. My next bullet point is that you do need time to do all of this. So, get started early. And that's the beauty of the fact that a lot of you are still in middle school. You're able to try out a bunch of different activities and see what you're interested in for the long run, what you can stick with, because showing that you're committed to something is in and of itself very difficult. Going every week to that one volunteer organization, going every day to, help a certain cause, that really shows that you're committed to that and really interested in that certain, area. And so getting started early is really, really important. Also, I don't know how much time I have left, so feel free to stop me whenever I'm done with the 15 minutes. Additionally, I think that a lot of this shows the officers that you care about something, the admissions officers, sorry. So it's not about, like I've said a bunch of times, it's not about the actual activity that you're doing. It's not, are you shelving books at the library or whatever activity it is. It's not about what you're doing, more about what skills you're gaining from it. And so that's why volunteering is recommended by a lot of universities, because they know that when you volunteer and go out in your community and try to find a cause that you're interested in, you're gaining all these other skills with it. So if it's an activity that, inherently builds your communication skills, builds your teamwork skills, organizational skills, then that in and of itself is a good activity to have. And that's how you should be looking at it, instead of, this activity is so unique, or this activity is is probably more favorable to colleges. Instead of thinking about it like that, think about it as, what activity gives me the most skills? Also, my next bullet point that's usually not talked about when you think about volunteering in college or middle school is how sustainable is what you're working on. Let's say, for my example before, you're going weekly to shelf books at your library. After you graduate high school, there's not much that's sustainable in that project. Also, do I have to stop?
No, Shreya, you can go ahead, continue. You can finish your points. Great, great topic. I like all your inputs, and it's so good to learn how much opportunities out there, like so many. So you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, so this is probably my last point, but sustainability is really important. So make sure that the project you're working on is not something that is just a weekly or monthly thing, but you can come back to it after high school, after college, and continue working on that project or helping that cause. And that's why it's so important to find things that you're truly passionate about, because not only is this important because it shows through in your application, but also just personally, if it's something that you're able to come back to and keep helping and really, be interested in, then that's enough of itself. And that's why volunteering is recommended by so many schools, because they know that if you're passionate about this one thing, so passionate about it that you're able to give up your valuable time to help it, then you could be the same way with a lot of other causes. And that's the most important part. So, if I were to say one thing, then if you're in middle school, try a bunch of different activities and find what you're truly interested in. And if you're in high school, do a couple and be really, really involved with those, and make sure they're all things that are sustainable and that you can come back to and continue helping such a great cause for. Thank you.
Great, Shreya. Shreya, did you introduce yourself? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Your college student. Very good. Very good. Deepa and Ashika, you want to say something? She shared a lot of information, good information. Do you have any feedback on that?
I just wanted to say thank you for providing a lot of informational input, very valuable, especially because a lot of the people in this debate are young and could utilize that for planning for their future, because they're going into grades where they need that information to succeed. So thank you so much for spending your time to inform us.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, but that was really informative. I think the people in this debate, like the middle schoolers, will definitely need it for the future. So thank you for taking time out of your day to come talk to us.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And that's such a wonderful information Shreya shared. I think we are ready. Judges should be back in the call now. Sriram, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, Usha.
All right. Okay. So
okay. So I know you guys are eagerly waiting to know who the winner is, and I don't know because judges have not told me yet. I'll quickly call upon the judges now. Aditi Srinivasan. We're gonna go, judges one judge at a time, and they're gonna just have quick 1 minute to say something for you guys. Okay. So it's gonna be. We'll start with Aditi Srinivasan, please.
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for putting in the time to do this for us. I was blown away. Everyone did such a great job. So just wanted to say thank you. And so I have a couple of feedback in terms of strengths and some suggestions. First is for Nachiket Hegde. So you were very expressive, great data points, super convincing, used a lot of good scientific facts and numbers, and you had strong rebuttal. One area that I think you could improve next time is you had a lot of great research. You could speak maybe a little bit more slow to amplify your most important points. And then next for Preetham Hegde, you had, again, great data points on the economic backgrounds of students taking the tests, very well structured. You spoke about both the individual and the broader community costs, including the student and the families, as well as the state's costs. One suggestion is, and you have a wealth of data and strong points, but maybe find a way to summarize the most important points to keep within the time limit and participate a little bit more in the rebuttals. And then for Daya Bhatt, You were very confident, very expressive. You had great eye contact and spoke to the judges directly. Your statements were very powerful and you sounded very passionate, so great job. One suggestion for next time would be that you covered a lot of content. So maybe if you could speak a little bit more slowly to draw attention to your most important arguments, that would be great. So that's just from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditi. She is our first judge. Second judge, senior person, senior most judge in our panel, Bhimanna, please.
Once again, I congratulate all the participants as well as the organizers. As you all know, this is the first time in HAA history we are conducting a youth debate, as that also through Zoom. It is a challenge, but across the country, it is a challenge definitely with the time zone differences and everything. So overall, it was a great insight you both teams have provided. One thing I just want to say that both teams have presented great points. The standardized scores, as far as I understood, as you all know, is done by the universities. They prefer to have a standardized test so that they can identify or screen students in a easier manner. However, it may not be the perfect one, as you all pointed out very nicely. Then, as you know, each judge is allotted 3 participants to give some feedback. First of all, to Nidhi Bhatt, who is in the 10th grade and the lead for Surya team. Yeah, you presented all the points very well. The intro was great. The rebuttal as well as entire presentation was with a smile that really adds value especially in the debates. And you had a lot of data points also. So I feel there is really not much improvements I can suggest you at this point. Keep it up. So now moving on to Anup Shanbog. I know you are in 6th grade. You have a lot more years to go in this kind of debates. You are one of the younger as well as grade wise. Nonetheless, you did a great job of researching and presenting your points. You were also very crisp in what you had to say. And you also participated in the rebuttal. That is instant. That's very important in this kind of debate. Then finally, moving on to Amok, you are also in the 6th grade. Once again, I should congratulate you both of you in taking this task to be a part of this debate. You also presented very well, very clear, very crisp, whatever you had to say. And one thing I could suggest you that you try to look more to the camera. That would help in the debate or in the debate directly to the judges. That's the only thing I can add. Otherwise, then lastly, but not the least, for all the participants, not just these 3, I know you tried quite a bit to add Kannada or Havya words. Maybe you can add some more. Salpa ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ next time to try to learn. Okay, namaste.
Thank you very much, Bhimanna, for very, very positive and constructive feedback. Only with your guidance, all the kids can really, become a beautiful, grown-up Havika kids tomorrow. So thank you very much for being in the judges panel. The next judge I would like to call upon is Anup Bhatt.
Hey. Yeah, so my first feedback is for Sana. I think your introduction was really good. I liked how you said each person's name and then what they're gonna say after that. And I also really liked the points that you made during the rebuttals about meeting goals, how sometimes you don't meet them the first time, you have to keep trying. As far as areas of improvement, I think in the introduction, you made a few phrases that were kind of just vague and seemed sort of filler, oh, this is standardized tests or a foolish idea. I think when in debates, you should sort of make more targeted, specific statements rather than these sort of broad claims. Next person is Soham. Again, I think you made a lot of good points during the rebuttal about there are lots of ways of dealing with stress. One area of improvement is I think during your argument, you sort of made claims like there's no argument against standardized tests, no other way to measure performance. In reality, it's kind of, this wouldn't be a debate unless if it was a sort of like a balanced issue, right? So there are pros and cons, and other people acknowledge that during the debate. So it's important to acknowledge both sides. And finally, Yashika, you pulled data from a lot of different places. You clearly did your research. That was good. I think one area of improvement is actually when you're talking about the data, it's not, it doesn't carry much weight to just say, okay, this data or this study proved that, I forget what specifically it proved. We said, okay, this proved something. It's really important to say how they proved it to sort of like actually make mean something substantial, because otherwise they could just be saying something. But yeah, that's all I had. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Anup. One thing I can say is I've not met many of you guys, except Sana and Amog, but in this participants. I can tell that the feedback you gave for Sana was accurate, Anup, and I'd like to add more that she's a very vibrant, talented, brilliant young lady, Sana, and what we can see here in virtual is hardly 20% of her true personality, which is so bubbly and vibrant. Good luck and good job, Sana, there. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, the next judge I would like to call upon is Pujit. Pujit,
yeah, thank you, Shriram, Uncle. And to echo what you said, it's truly amazing for all of you to participate so vibrantly, especially on Zoom, on like a small screen like this. I was truly amazed by everyone's participation, and thank you for everyone who helped organize this and everyone for participating. I am giving feedback for Arushi. So Arushi, I think your points that you articulated made you did it in a way that made me like understand it even from the start to the end, and I think you present in a very clear way, which I think is really good. I think that like the two examples you used to describe ways in which standardized testing can help people like who do well on the test as well as do poor on the test, you explained that very successfully. So you did a really good job, Arushi. In terms of areas of improvement, I think during the rebuttal, one thing you can try to practice is making sure that your line of argumentation can't be easily like twisted or at least misinterpreted, or and that requires like fully explaining and also not venturing into territory which cannot be fully explained. I think you made an argument about like chewing gum reducing stress, and many people had rebuttals for that because I think it was something that was a little more easily refuted. So sometimes like keeping that in mind can help like make your arguments more solid. But you did such a good job, Arushi. And I was also giving feedback for Pranav Joshi. Pranav's not here. I've actually known Pranav since he was a little kid, so it's funny. But Pranav, I'll just say a little bit, but Pranav also summarized things really well. But yeah, one advice I would have for Pranav, as well as this, I guess this applies for other people too, was that sometimes we can, like what Pranav did was he made many arguments saying like, without standardized testing, things would be worse. Without standardized testing, you would be unable to identify how well people do. I would implore people to think about the inverse of that, and with standardized testing, how would that actually make people's performance better, and also do that. So both together would probably make your argument a little stronger than just doing one side. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pujit, for a very good feedback there. Thank you so much. So now drum rolls, right? Aditi Dinakar our judge, is going to announce the winning team. And before that, I request everybody to please unmute yourself, and whoever the winner is, right? Everybody, please clap, right? We'll applaud so that, you know, there's some appreciation of all the hard work that went in behind the scenes, right? Aditi, our judge who's going to announce, please take it away.
I have a couple more of people to give feedback on before we announce a winner. So we'll go through that. Just want to say great job, everyone. I'm really impressed with the level of confidence in which you all are speaking and the preparation that went into it. I think you all have potential to be great debaters if you want to continue to go down that path in your extracurriculars or in your personal life and so what. One suggestion that I would give is, you know, think through when you're doing your speeches, if you're giving an argument, what would the opposition say? And how can you use that kind of thought process to make your argument stronger when you're giving your speeches? So that's a really good practice in the debate, is anticipating your opposition. So if you're on team pro standardized test, what do you think the arguments the opposition is going to use? So use that. You can use your critical thinking skills to improve yourself and kind of think on all sides of the issue. So I'll be quick. I'll start with Sachit. I think you had great confidence in which you were speaking. You really understood your argument, were able to interact with a lot of different people. I think one area for improvement is that you were really in and out of the meaning you knew the flow of your argument very well, but I'd love to see that backed up with some more evidence and to show why people behave the way that you were saying that they do, right? Next is Amogha. So you had great confidence in your speaking as well. I really like that you qualified your statements. So showing that, look, standardized testing can prepare you for the struggles that, you know, different types of ways of handling pressure and how you can get better by doing revisions, timetables, things. So you showed some tangible examples, which is great. Another thing, a similar feedback is would like to see you using some evidence to show, are there studies that show that people who do improve upon their test scores after they receive one that they aren't happy with, and they actually improve? Would like to see some evidence used there. And then Tejas, lastly, good handling of adversity and kind of being in and off the camera. I think you still stuck with your argument and were able to finish your speech in a confident manner. So that was great. And you made some novel points, like taking a standardized test can help pique your interest in different subjects you may not have known about. I think that was a really interesting point that you brought up. I think there's ways that you could maybe work on your refutation. So when you make a statement, then understanding and explaining the evidence that goes into it instead of maybe repeating it a couple of times, maybe we can work on that in the future. But overall, just want to end cap with saying everyone did great and everyone is on a great path to doing more speech and debate in the future. So drum roll, I'm about to announce the winner, and it was a very, very close scoring. Everyone did really, really well, and Team Surya is the winner. So great job, everyone.
Congratulations. Thank you very much, Aditi, for great announcement there. Thank you very much. So yeah, with that, we are, concluding the event. I don't want to go back, guys. It's Saturday evening. I'm having fun here with you guys. Amazing preparation by you guys. I'm just, enjoying, right? Okay. So with that, I would like to hand it back to our host, Usha. Before that, real quick, thank you to all the judges. You guys spent so much time, energy, especially during the debate. I can understand the effort and the focus it takes, right, to really understand what the speaker is throwing at you with the data points, the numbers. It was over the head for me. I was not even listening at some point. No, I'm just kidding. I was listening. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Usha, back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sriram. Oh, yeah. All right. Congratulations once again to both the teams. Surya team won, but for me, both the teams are the winners. So congratulations once again. Your dedication, talent, and hard work was clearly seen today. Learn one new thing every day, right? So, but I learned a lot of things today. 15 different views on standardized tests, whether it is for or against. And rebuttal time was really showing how deeply you did your homework, did your exploratory research. A lot of data points and views as the judges were also giving the feedback. It was excellent. Hope everyone in our audience appreciated our youth talents and enjoyed the program. I would like to thank all our young talents for your best performance today once again. You were just great. Everyone worked hard, but special thanks to our team leads, Nidhi Bhatt and Anup Shanbag and Soham Padhyana. Sachit Hegde and Dhruva Bhatt, they could not make it to the debate, but both the youths did a wonderful job guiding and mentoring Chandra team, which is team B. Thanks Sachit and Dhruva as well. I would like to thank all the parents and siblings who helped our participants today. Thanks for your support, which is always needed, which is always helpful. Samita, she does done beautiful flyer. She created, she patiently reworked it many times as changes came in. Thanks, Samita. I would like to thank all our judges, Bhim Bhatt, Aditi, Dinkar, Aditi Srinivas, Anup Bhatt, Pujit Hegde for your time judging today and studiously following the debate guidelines, paying attention today, taking notes and giving valuable feedback to all our youth participants. I'd like to thank Sriram for wonderfully managing and moderating the debate, multitasking all around, listening to participants, monitoring questions in the chat window and also monitoring questions on your phone and handling everything gracefully. Thanks for your time, preparing the guidelines and guiding the participants and judges. Thanks again. Timekeeper Nishka, she was very alert. You must have seen her showing 2 minutes, 3 minutes time window. That was very cute also. Thanks, Nishka. Thanks to Sumana for helping with participant names, answering participants' questions on meetings and logistics. That was very helpful because organizers could not be there all the time. That was help just in time. Thanks, Sumana. Gopal Anna, HAA convention update was great. We all needed to hear it again, and the grand event is right in the corner, and the preparation is going so well. Glad to hear about that, and we would like to enjoy the event soon. Thanks, Shreya, for your wit and guidance on volunteering. A lot of insight into it, great information, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for all the participants today and also the audience who are listening and their kids. So thanks again for talking about it very well. Very nice, good information. And the backbone of our presentation today, Srinivas Hasamane, flawless execution and technicality. Thanks for your time and dedication. Always, Srinivas, you have been supporting all kinds of virtual events from beginning of 2020. Great support. Thanks again. With that, I'd like to also thank our great MCs, Ashika and Deepa. You are wonderful and very lively, and I enjoyed how you presented everyone, which was great. Thanks again. With that, I think we have everything covered. And our next event, if there is any virtual event, we will keep you posted. Online chess event is going on. I wish you all good luck, all the youth participants and everyone in this team. Thanks for your great support, everyone. And with that, have a wonderful, relaxed evening and night, everyone. Namaste. Thank you.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye.